I'd like to move us on to our next speaker now, who is Matej Zakonjšek. Hope that's right. That'll do for now anyway. Who is the director of the Permanent Secretariat of the Transport Community, based in Belgrade, but he's another local boy from Slovenia. And the Transport Community, I'm sure Matej will tell us a little bit more about it, but it's an international organization which engages with all of the EU member states and the 6 nations of the Western Balkans. And he's going to tell us a bit about what they do and also the railway challenges in Southeast Europe. Matej, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody, and first of all, thank you for inviting me to my hometown. So it's great to be here. My current adopted hometown is Belgrade, where our organization is based. But it's great, first of all, to see that basically the family is gathered, the rail family. I see, Peter, Carlo, Alberto, Blaž, these are all, old faces, young faces, every year younger. I'm not giving any ideas to you, but the fact of life is that you are together because you believe that we have to work together in order to make the rail system works better, not only in being Slovenia or Serbia or beyond, but in Europe and with that connected to the world. So that's why these kind of conferences and your engagement is so important. As it was promised before, I will give you a few information what we do in Transport Community for all of you who do not know us yet. And then I will focus specifically on what are the challenges in the Western Balkans region. So here we go. First of all, I will give you a little bit of the overview and then strategic goals, as well as some examples of the rail, especially the rail policy, as well as the projects in the Western Balkans. Now, the Transport Community was formed with the international treaty. So it's basically based on the international treaty in 2017. And it brings together, like it was mentioned before, entire EU, so the 27 EU member states, and 6, we call them regional partners in the Western Balkans. And everything with one aim. And this is the integration of the Western Balkan transport markets into the EU. So this is really the heart of it. So it's not coming closer, it is about integration, which means that the transport markets of, let's say, Serbia or North Macedonia or Albania should be no different than the transport market of Slovenia, Sweden, or any other country. So this is really in the heart of it. How we are doing that? We are doing that through 2 parallel tracks. The first one is that with the international treaty, all our members have dedicated themselves to adopt and implement all EU legislation when it comes to transport. And that includes 4th railway package, interoperability, safety, everything that has to do with railways. Legislation is nothing but standards. Standards how we organize our transport. The second way we are achieving this integration is through support to the specific connectivity projects that are connecting the region among itself as well as with the EU. Now, these are some of our priorities, but let me, we have priorities in road, in rail, in transport facilitation, so borders, as well as the maritime transport and what's happening on our rivers. But today we want to talk about rail, and I want to focus on what is happening on the rail. So, I said that I will first talk about challenges before I tell you the good stories. So first, let's say, what are the challenges or opportunities, as we have to call them. So, the opportunity is that the railway network in the Western Balkans, according to our estimation, is in, unfortunately, poor or even a very poor condition. This is the reason. So, how does this translate into practice? This translates into practice that what was built 30, 40 years ago, currently the trains cannot even run close to the speed of what was built 40 years ago. Forget about modernization of those tracks. So the lines which should be taking, when they were designed 30, 40 years ago, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour are now reaching on average 50 kilometers per hour, sometimes going to 20 kilometers per hour. And what does this mean? In practice, this means that when you have the connection between Belgrade and, for example, Skopje, Kire, what's the kilometers between Belgrade and Skopje? 400 kilometers. Can you imagine how long this takes at the moment? So, any number from any of you. How many? 6 hours. Oh, that would be very fast. Any more number? 14 hours. Well, not 14, but we are close. It takes about 11 hours. So 11 hours, and actually the news is even worse. There are currently no train connections between Skopje and Belgrade, no passenger connections. So, you know, even 11 or even 14 hours would be better what we have at the moment. So this is really the challenge that we have, that of course if you want to put the train on the rail tracks, it needs to, first of all, serve people, and for that you need to have reliable train connections which at least are competitive with the car transport, or at least as comfortable and on time. And at the moment, none of this is a reality in the Western Balkans. But of course, we are here in order to challenge this. We are here in order to change that. Another, question, the only way we can have, of course, the thriving rail market in the Western Balkans is if we work together as a region. Because as you know, the entire region of the Western Balkans, I'm talking about the 6 regional partners, is altogether 17 million people. This is 17 million people. This is the size of Istanbul, of one city. So, but of course, because of the geographical position, that offers an opportunity. Because that offers an opportunity to have connections which on the Corridor 10 would connect Piraeus with Thessaloniki, with then Skopje, Beograd and Zagreb and so on, or Sofia, Istanbul, Asia, Europe and beyond. So we have the potential because geography offers this potential. But we have to do our homework in the terms of modernizing rail tracks, putting the rail infrastructure together, cooperating between the infrastructure managers and really creating a transport market. So another challenge is what I was talking before, design speed, where we have the design speed over 100 kilometers or more, and as I mentioned before, this is one of the biggest challenges. So another question, if we want to have the regional market, one of our aims should be that we connect, or I should be more careful, reconnect the capitals, or let's say the main cities of the region. That should be the basic, that we have the viable connections between the major cities. Again, between 5 and 10, how many international connections do you believe there are in the Western Balkan region? I'm focusing on the 6 regional partners. Between 5 and 10, anybody? Well, 1. So you got my challenge. The only connection that at the moment exists is a night train, and there are actually 2 trains per day connecting Belgrade with Bar in Montenegro. That's the only international connection. On the season? During the season, indeed, during the season. And that takes about 11 hours. So, this is the size of the challenge, but also at the same time, it is the size of the opportunity. So what we are doing with the transport community, we are trying to bring everybody together, including our friends from the European institutions, on EU member states. For example, Slovenia here is really trying to help us, as well as the EU neighboring countries, because that really makes sense. Because the Western Balkan region will be really thriving once it's not only connected among itself, but specifically also with the major capitals being Zagreb, Ljubljana, Thessaloniki, Sofia, and so on and so forth. So this is what was our guiding principles when we have put together the Rail Action Plan, which was adopted last year in October by the transport community, by the ministers in the Ministerial Council, and this is basically a step-by-step guide what needs to happen for us to have this regional rail market, the thriving regional rail market. It is available on our website, and it's a really good guidebook of really the steps, who needs to do what and by when, in order for us to achieve the main goals. Now, just a few projects that we have in order to mention as an example. One of the projects that we have is the level crossing safety improvement. In the region, there are more than 700 and more level crossings, and most of them are not secured or not secured enough. So one of the regional projects that we are now embarking is actually trying to find the financing as well as the project of how to make the level crossing safer. And as we know, when the accidents happen on the level crossings, it's many times fatal, 70%. Improvements of the maintenance by using special rail car. The problem with the maintenance in the region is that at the moment there is only one car which was bought by the Serbian railways which will be able to actually measure what is happening on the tracks so the maintenance can become predictive maintenance. This is one of the biggest challenges, but as we know, the average vehicle like that has the capacity of about 20 or 22,000 kilometers per year. The entire region together has how many kilometers?
Can run 3 times, so 600.
So the challenge is there, and this is one thing that we are trying to see how we can have the regional project where one maintenance car could be used to actually measure the quality of the rail tracks in the region and give enough information to do predictive maintenance, and with that, of course, lower the cost of the infrastructure as well as make it more useful. And, you know, what I said before, re-establishing passenger train connection between capitals, I think between the major cities. I think that would be not only symbolically, but as well very, very important. Now, during this European Year of Rail, we have already done quite a few events. We had the social forum, which was dedicated to the railways, and we also had the technical committees on railways, 3 events, which brings the entire region together. And then we had the summer school, bringing the young hopes of the region together, because with the same message is that only if we work together, if we have, let's say, the regional maintenance plans, the really, you know, daily work together, we can actually have the conditions of establishing or re-establishing what was in the past already reality. It needs to become a reality in the future as well. So one of our key events was just a week ago, previous Monday, which was the first Western Balkan Rail Summit, which we co-organized with the EIB, EBRD, and us. And that, you know, there is a importance why we have actually came together with our banks to do that, with the investment banks. Because one of the major problems is that projects and policy needs to go hand in hand. And as we know, a lot of people love to talk about projects, but when it comes to the policy reforms, which are the essential part of the successful project, we do not get the same enthusiasm. So we need to make sure that the projects and policies are the 2 sides of the same coin. And that's why bringing banks and money with you when you want to talk about rail reforms is a very good way to go. So that is, you know, we have managed to get all 6 ministers in charge of transport of the entire region together in Belgrade, and they have, among other times, signed dedication to rail in order to really, you know, advance on the topics which I just mentioned before. On the technical level, we have also signed the Memorandum of Understanding of establishing regional infrastructure managers network with the same idea, that these are the people who do work on daily basis. So these are your people who are sitting every day, and their cooperation is really essential. So all the infrastructure managers were sitting together, and they have now formed a group that they will meet on a regular basis in order to create this viable regional market. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me see if I forgot something else. The one thing that I just wanted to finish before to mention before I finish is it was said in the beginning of our meeting today that, you know, when the Connecting Europe train was coming to Ljubljana or any other cities, people are asking, you know, can we use this train? You know, is this a reality? And I can tell you, and this is what we want. We want people to start again, people and businesses to start using the railway again in this part of Europe. Passengers as well as the cargo. And, you know, I live in Belgrade, and my mother, of course, wanted to come to visit me about 16 times already. But one wish that she has is that she wants to come with train. Because she said, in the past, I was coming with train, and now I want to go, you know, from Ljubljana train station, I want to go to the train and I want to go out in Belgrade in a decent time. At the moment, this is not possible. But I would really like to see that we give my mother still a possibility to come to visit me in Belgrade with train. Thank you very much.